Good morning, teachers. This is your first CYA. Check your answers, and it is for practicing the prompts for the TDA essay or the text dependent analysis essay. And the one we're looking at today is the one that Michigan provides on its website. And this one is a grade 3 to 4 sample text. And I decided to start out with a nice, easy one, or a short one, a third, fourth grade one. Even if you teach eighth grade, it doesn't hurt at all to start out practicing with one that is much easier than one that you're going to teach your students as you're learning the process. It's always okay to do that. And just as a quick reminder, kids need lots of practice as they're learning new things. They need to see you doing it correctly, and they need some good productive practice and purposeful practice working on new things in order to learn them and learn them well. And so they ingrain this in their own self, how to do these. So this particular passage, what I want to stress to you is this does tell them to carefully read the passage. But in terms of working with the prompt, we want to remind students to go to that prompt first. And one of the things we're going to help them see is that prompt is often after the passage. So we don't want them really to read the passage before the prompt, because the prompt gives them so much focus information for reading the passage. Now, of course, it doesn't hurt to do both. If they read the prompt, if they read the passage first and then read the prompt and make notes on it and then go back and do the passage again. But I know that a lot of our students, as they get older, as they move up in fourth and fifth and sixth grade, they're not going to they're going to feel like we're telling them to waste their time that way. So give them a little tip. They love little tips, and tell them that a lot of times the passage or the prompt will be at the end of the passage. And if they want to look at that first to focus the passage, that's where they'll find it. So that's where I am at the end of the passage. And let's go ahead and get started with what we start with. And in this one, it tells the students that the passage focused on creatures from 2 different species. And it gives us a little information about they helped each other. And you know me, for how my brain works, I just like to highlight things as I'm reading and put things that seem to go together. So in my mind, they're creatures from 2 different species, and then you'll see I have a little space and that they're helping each other. So in my mind, I've got 2 things I want to keep in mind there. Now we know that they have to write an essay, and you probably put in your notes on your space that was what they have to do. This is what they've got to do, what to do, just as a reminder. And you won't do this forever, but it sure is a good thing to do as they're getting started. And then they have to explain how. And I want to give you a little tip. If students, or if that explaining how is getting kind of, what do they mean explaining how? What on earth does that mean? One of the things you can do is to turn that into a question. And sometimes that will help. Let me move that up just a little. So what that would look like is a question, and that might help as you're answering or as students are answering. So this in a question would be, in what ways does the passage show how people and animals help each other? How people and animals help each other. So sometimes if they think about writing this in a question, it may just be a little bit easier for them to answer. So when it says explains how, it's saying show me different ways, or in what ways does that passage show how people and animals help each other. So we know that as we're reading, that students have to, as they're looking through everything, they have to show different ways, or whatever way. It shows a way here, it says. And we know that we're going to be looking for people, and we're going to be looking for animals, because that's what the passage would like us to look for. And we know that's going to be in ways they help each other. And of course, always use evidence from the passage to support your essay. And you know that is citing the text. And remember, another thing we can do that will help students is to constantly remind them that evidence can be so many different things. It can be a statement, it can be a quote, it can be a fact. It can be let's write some of those down. It can be a statement of some type. It can be some kind of a quote. It can be a fact. It can be a figure of some type. It can be some other kind of a detail. It can be so many things. It can be a synonym for something, but a detail can be so many different things. So we don't always want them to think it's always just going to be a sentence in there. It could be a word. It can be so many different things. So I'm just going to throw that out for now, and I'm sure I'll pick up on that again later as we work together. So we know that that we've got to make a quick organizer in which the passage just shows the ways. So that actually is our quick organizer, I guess. That would work okay. And as the students, or as you are reading this, probably what we can do is, in this case, we're going to just make a little list of the ways that we see them. So we have a question and the ways that they are. But we have to have the way, the person, so let's put that down to make it even better. The person's way, the way the person helped the animal, and the way the animal helped the person. Help the person. Okay, that's because it specifically asks for that. And I think that's the gist of this particular one. Remind students. I know for myself, I always want to rush right through all of these, but remind them to think and then write. No, let me take that back. Think. I'm rushing. And then write. I wanted to just put then in there. Think, then write. And when we make notes all over the prompt, we're thinking with our pen in hand. We're thinking with our pencil in hand. That's just helping us think. So we want them to take a little time and just try to figure out exactly what the author is showing. So there you go. That's your CYA for your practice prompt number 1. And I'll write that up here, your PP number 1. How'd you do? I bet you did just fine. And if not, remember, it can be a little tricky for everybody. Practice is everything. See you on the next one.